Today, I am joined by my friend and neighbour, Raymond Clarke, and we're going to call him Ray for short. And we are going to talk about all things ceramics. Welcome to the Creativity Podcast with your host, Diane Hamilton Harris. Welcome,
Hello.
Ray. How are you doing
Hello.
today?
Fine.
Excellent. I'm loving those jars behind you, those beautiful pieces of
Yeah.
work. I'm
Yeah.
calling them jars. And your artwork, which has been hidden, but never mind.
We'll
Absolutely
get there too.
so before we get into the subject of ceramics, can you give us a little bit about your background, Ray, where you grew up and
Ooh,
what your young
I,
life was like?
I've born and raised in Balham. Born in a house in Balham, so I'm a Londoner, a proper Londoner. You could say that. Yeah, school life was the usual, ordinary for a West Indian family, and a child of that family just get on with school life and the best you can in the limited resources which was around then. Just get on with it. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Big family of seven, and
Wow.
we just
Seven
jumped.
brothers and sisters.
Yeah, four sisters. Yeah,
Wow.
so it was just everybody just all hands on deck. Just,
So where did you fit in the stream of the seven?
I'm fourth in line. Say
Okay.
I'm a middle child because
Yes.
how the dynamics works. The middle sort of a child, you could say,
Yeah.
really.
Excellent. I didn't realize you were coming from Balham. It's
Yeah,
just down the road
Balham.
from where we are now, really, isn't it?
Yes, not too far away. Yeah.
Exactly. So, Ray, how did you actually get into ceramics then?
Oh, the funny one. I mean, if I could think back to, say, school life, primary school, I remember making stuff as you do. You make things as a child, and it was a box. It was boxes, and I put them together somehow. I even painted them, and it was probably a version of a robot, I'll imagine. So just you imagine my whole body was covered with boxes and slot for the eyes, I imagine. And I was sent around each class to exhibit my masterpiece. And looking back at it, I thought to myself, well, why am I doing this? Because I thought it was nothing brilliant. It was boxes.
Hmm.
So that's what you do. And after the third walk around class, I thought, well, people are interested in me and want to talk about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I just talk. And after that, my art sort of affair was usual school, drawing, stuff like that. But up to this present time now, my wife, Bernadette, one day, we went to York for a
Oh.
birthday treat.
Hmm.
And she booked in for a pottery lesson, spinning pots and ashtrays, the usual stuff. And we went, spent the whole weekend there, had a go, and I thought to myself, well, I could do this. So I spin a pot. It was nothing, brilliant, but it was a
Yeah.
pot.
Yeah. Functional.
Yeah. So I mean, I knew a friend who do spin pot,
Hmm.
and chatted to this lady, and she told me all she knew about spinning, and she donated me a wheel.
Oh,
So I was able
wow.
to, yeah, so I was able to use the wheel, an old wheel she had, and I practiced on it I've got in my garden. Where I'm staying now. It's a shed, a glorious
Yeah.
shed, which I built years ago. So it
Hmm.
was handy. I had somewhere to put this wheel.
Yeah.
So I had a go, and I spin stuff. I'm gonna pop over here
Uh,
and get something just in arm
can't quite
reach.
see it, but yeah, I can
I'll show
imagine it
you.
being over in the corner.
It's in arm
Oh, look
reach.
at all those jars behind you. They're just absolutely
Here's one
stunning.
here. This is one I made.
Wow.
Yeah, I made this was it's earthenware, it's solid, and I spun this and I was making all sorts and it's quite good. And I thought, oh, that's all right.
It's very good, not quite good. It's extremely good.
But then I got bored. And I'm one of these person get bored quickly.
Yes.
I've got to keep my interest flowing.
Hmm.
And I decided I do some modeling. I model stuff. So just like how, because I make cake sometimes and
Yeah.
I do the icing on the cake and I do
Yeah.
stuff. And I went, I could do that. So I start to model stuff, which I
Hmm.
was more interesting in modeling because you can broaden your creativity to all sorts you could do. So
Yes.
that's what I do. I
So
model.
when you talk about modeling, I'm presuming rather than having the wheel where you're spinning,
Yeah.
you're using like, I think the material that you use as a clay form to just mold something with your hands. Is that what you're
Yeah,
referring
that's
to?
right. That's right. With my hands and using, it could
Various
be
tools.
objects, tools, just to make
Very good.
shape, or plant form. Using
Yeah.
dried plants to press if you want to do
Hmm.
stuff like that, or just be inventive. You know, print that
Amazing.
clay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I decided to, I've tried earthenware and various other clay, but I much prefer porcelain for some reason because it's white clay. I like the translution of it through light. I like all that stuff. And then I like, my idea of colouring clay would be light colours, like if you was to put watercolour onto on a screen and
Yeah,
it's light and airy and having light pass through it. So I
yeah.
decided to myself, okay, porcelain. So that's the medium I use is porcelain.
So your
At the
favorite
moment,
medium at the
at the
moment.
moment, yeah. So I get bored of it, probably.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah,
Amazing. So in terms of the material, you've talked about earthenware. At the moment, your favorite is porcelain
yeah,
and clay. Would you say that these are all different types of clays, or are we
yeah.
talking about different material types? How would you go about talking
There are
about
different
those?
types of clay and materials because some's got fibre in there to help bond the clay together, and
Hmm.
some's just it's got a plasticky, feel to it once you've get it
Plasticizer.
in,
Yeah,
yeah, in hand. So
yeah.
so it's all about what you're able to comfortable with to use at the end of the day. And
Mhm.
some clays harder in respect of you could say how you bend and shape the clay and what you want to do, drying time, stuff
Mm.
like that. And
Yeah,
each clay got their own firing temperature when you put it in the kiln as well. So,
yeah.
it's again these preferences, as I said, I might just jump to something else, in the
Mhm.
next, say, I don't know, year or probably less than that until if I'm doing stuff outside, like I'm making outside ornaments,
Mhm.
I will find a medium clay just to work with the outside and frost, which is much better for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I kind of sort of see that as a bit of experimentation while you're
mm,
in the zone.
yeah.
Yeah. So you're using your porcelain, for example, right about now, doing your
Yeah.
modeling. But if you've got excess, for example, you might try doing something completely
Yeah,
different.
I must say, I put my hands up that I'm new to this, so I'm learning as I go along, and it's exciting learning as I go along because I'm in the environment where I could make errors
Yeah.
and I've got the time to correct it.
Yes.
Time to, and I got my own studio, you could say, so I'm
Yeah.
free. I'm free to,
Exactly. And I love that you said that you're free to make your own mistakes because you
yeah,
correct them. And I think for anybody listening to this, if you're trying something new and you make a mistake, don't look at that as being the end all,
mm,
Give it a go again, try it again, especially if you enjoyed it. If it didn't turn out as you expected, no problem. Try
yeah,
again. Do you know what
try
I'm
again.
saying? And you might actually find, if you're consistent and you're persistent, you'll really enjoy it. Yeah. Because I was reading about a gentleman who when he was younger, his mum wanted him to be a carpenter, and he was
Mm,
based in, I think it's called Meissen in Germany.
mm,
Any Germans listening, forgive me if I got the pronunciation wrong. It's either Meissen or Missen, Miessen. And there was a pottery factory. I think they call it manufactory. And the local teacher said that he should go and join this manufacturing place because he was really good at art and drawing, and he was really happy because he ended up going to the local factory to learn porcelain and
mm,
how to draw. And one of the things he was saying in his bit of a write-up on him was the way he gets the feel for being able to work with things like porcelain is to observe nature. So he liked to sit and observe the animals, the birds
mm,
in particular, the flowers,
mm.
plant life. And I know you're a person that loves to go for a walk. So I guess as part of your walking journey, you're
Yeah,
observing that. Are you
yeah.
inspired by creation at all?
I'm inspired by nature, plant form. I'm inspired by, and that's where majority of my ideas come from. And I take bits from nature and I just deconstruct it and add bit and create something, from what I feel comfortable able to achieve. That's what
Yeah.
I do. So I can show you some stuff I've made. I mean, this was one of the first things I've made when I did
That is so
plant form.
beautiful. It's like leaves. Is it
Yeah,
leaves? Yeah.
it's a tulip, funny enough, a dragon tulip,
Oh,
and it's
how gorgeous is that?
don't know whether it's going to be a
Stunning.
bowl or it's going to be just an ornament standing
Yeah.
on its own. I do stuff like that, which I mean, something like this will take me about, say, 2 days. Depends on. I mean,
Wow.
I'm sure I can be a bit quicker, but I'm
Well,
in my own zone, really.
why would you speed things up?
No,
And
that's right. Why should I? Why
I
should I?
think that is so delightful because you'll go to say, I don't know, if I see a secondhand shop, for example, I'll go in and have a look. And they're all very much a muchness, some of these pottery. I mean, if you've got a trained eye, then obviously you know what you're looking for, but not necessarily just secondhand shops, just going to beautiful places and they've got special items. I've never seen something like that. You know
No.
what I mean?
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to create stuff which I don't normally see. And
Yeah.
then I go to shops and I look as well, garden centre. And I think there's a market there to, well, markets is everywhere where you could tap into people want to buy special stuff. You know, it's
Mm.
always the same thing I keep seeing all the time. Whenever I buy gifts, I love buying gifts if I can afford it. But I feel so disappointed when I go out there and there's like the same old stuff.
Absolutely.
You
And
know,
yeah, you recently showed me this gorgeous piece that you'd made, and I actually love the magnolias. I love the tulip type of magnolia, but
yeah.
there's a star magnolia, and you'd made one
Yeah,
of
I
those.
made one though. At the moment now, it's in the kiln and
Yes.
it's in there. It's very delicate at the moment. I mean, probably another time I could probably show you that one. It's
Yeah.
quite large and it's taken me a lot of time to do it, but I quite enjoy doing it
Well,
because
it's the journey, it's the
yeah,
process,
yeah,
right? And actually, maybe if we rewind a bit and talk about the process, because at the moment you're in love with porcelain, but is there
mm,
like, what would you say are the stages for creating a piece? Because I suspect that first you need to get the clay or the whatever material it is that you're using into
yeah.
some form of a condition. Can you talk
Mm.
us through the phases that you go through when you're working with a piece?
Well, what I do first is once I've picked the clay, I will just mold that clay until it, get air out the clay and just knead it,
Mhm.
kneading
So a
bread.
bit like a
Yeah,
baker with the dough of
yeah,
bread. They're going to make a bread
yeah.
and they're kneading it and giving it
Yeah,
love
just
while they're kneading it.
pushing it, fold it on its
Yeah,
other on itself and pushing it. And
yeah.
then from then, once I roll it into a ball, I roll it out in a rolling pin, just like making probably tart or. And I make my shapes from that. And
Hmm.
then I literally put them together. And I put them together. I allow them to stick by using water, and I make a slip with the same porcelain I'm using. A slip is just a muddy type of the same clay, but it's muddy, so
Okay.
it will bond when you joining
Ah,
two
right.
sides together. It'll bond
Yeah.
together. Then using tools like this, or even
Hmm.
your finger, sponges, and just smoothing it over, making sure the joins are correctly stuck together. It depends because when I work in a way where I'm trying to join bits on top of each other. So I normally got a hairdryer going on at the same time. You know, stuff like that to try and dry areas so
Hmm.
that, well, not totally dry, but
Yeah.
so that I'm able to still work with the actual clay, but drying it out completely.
Yeah.
So, and when I reach a stage where I can't go no further with it until the next day, I will
Hmm.
then just cover it over with a damp cloth and support it.
Hmm.
And next day, just carry on where I left off from. I use spray bottles. I mean, this is a spray bottle which I've
Oh,
used. It used to be an
yeah.
old, whatever, cleaner, and I
Yeah.
just put water in it and I
Hmm.
just you spray areas with it, try and keep it damp,
Hmm.
moist, cover it over with a thin cloth.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then next day, the clay's still green. I can still work with it.
Right. So you've got to keep a certain
Yeah,
pliability, a little
yeah,
bit wet, it seems. You don't want it too
yeah,
dried out. And you finish off the piece and perfect it.
yeah.
And then I guess at that point you stick it in the kiln.
Well, at that point, it has to dry out properly because once
Yeah.
the pieces I make is I almost build a scaffolding on the table because to support it. And once it's naturally dry,
Yeah.
sometimes I do a risky thing. I bring it inside the house, hoping not to trip up on anything in the garden.
Or
And
make
then,
sure the cat doesn't go anywhere near it either.
yeah, yeah. And I just let it dry out for at least 2, 3 days, if so, then bring it back. And then I'll just load up the kiln.
Oh,
And I
wow.
try to load it up as much as I can with a load of stuff. So at least it's more beneficial cost wise. It needs to, I need to, well, it costs a lot of money for
Yes.
fuel. So yeah. I just need to be a bit sensible about it when I.
Absolutely. So I guess you've got a trained eye, trained feel to know when your piece has dried
Yeah,
naturally. Does
yeah.
it change color as well as part of that
Yes,
process?
it does. It's dry because it just looks dry. It looks really dry. When clay's green, I haven't got a piece here. When clay's green, you could see the dampness in the actual clay,
Mm-hmm.
and it just looked damp. So
Yeah.
when it's kind of bone dry, I mean these I made these the other day. These are like little what do you
Napkin
call
ring
them?
holders.
Napkin ring holders, right? These here are they're still green because of they feel really damp.
Mm-hmm.
But when they're literally bone dry, you know from the
Yeah.
actual how it looks and how it feels as well. You know it's
Yeah.
bone dry. So once I reach that stage, I will just start thinking about color,
Yeah.
what I'm going to do. Again, with me, it's a plan because how I plan with the design, I've got to
Mm-hmm.
get it right. The actual colors, because I'm kind of like my colors got to reflect how I want the piece.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you could throw colors on and you can get a good result from it. You can at times, but I'm looking for some of my pieces to be like watercolor paint, a watercolor composition. That's what I'm trying to do. So I've
Yes.
got to I've got to sit back and think about what colors and how I'm going to apply it. And then once I've done that, I'm hoping get the form right. I can then it will be what I really want it to be. And
Yes.
then with the tactileness of what I'm doing as well, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure my result is when I offer a piece to somebody, they will want to hold it in their hand and
Yeah.
just want to don't want to let it go. That's what I'm trying to achieve.
I hear that. Yeah.
Aesthetically, get it looking.
Just as you want it,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Now, going back to the colours, because you talked about watercolours, and from my memory of watching the famous program that we have on mainstream media, which name I've complete, I think there's one called the Pottery Throwdown and another one.
yeah.
But in order to create a particular colour, you can't use that colour. You have to use a different colour to achieve a colour that you want. Is that how it works?
Well, you can in a sense where, I mean, how I will do it, I've got coloured already. If I
Yeah.
step over here, I bought watercolour underglaze. I've bought.
Oh, right.
It comes in a pack, like it looks like a palette of watercolor paints. But what it is, I'll take this off here, take this
Yeah.
cover off. It's a tray of watercolors. Do you see that?
Oh, yes,
The
yes,
tray
yeah.
of watercolors.
Ah, okay. I might have misunderstood. Yeah.
Yeah, the tray of water. It's a tray of
Right.
watercolor glaze, underglaze.
Oh,
Because it's nothing
okay.
like if a painter's going to use acrylic or watercolor to paint a picture. We use underglaze, and underglaze is what you use to put the actual color onto the actual
Peace.
piece after
Yeah.
you have put it into the actual kiln for a biscuit fire. And when
Biscuit
it,
fire.
yeah, when it's the bisque clay, the
Mhm.
clay becomes more or less honeycomby, in a sense. It's dry, it's really dry. It's been
Mhm.
under extreme heat. I mean, this will be about 1,000 degrees. It's
Wow.
porcelain. And once
Mhm.
you reach that sort of a temperature, and once it's cooled down, if you have to take it out, then it's very light to hold. And that's
Mhm.
when you're able to put the underglaze on
Right.
the bisque fired
Yeah.
porcelain. And
So
then
I guess once you've applied the underglaze, is there a further step where you then apply the glaze on top?
yeah, there is. It's the final stage
Cool.
is to fire it again
Mhm.
to allow it to become a ceramic.
Oh, okay.
And that's the end result is
Yes.
getting to become a ceramic by after you put the colours you want onto the actual pieces, then you fire it the
Amazing.
last time, then you have
Yeah.
ceramic.
So as you were talking about it becomes a ceramic, immediately in my mind, I was watching a Grand Designs program the other day, creating their house, very beautiful. And the lady of the house was creating tiles and she drew beautiful birds and she makes them herself. We didn't get to see her doing the whole piece, but we saw her with her final pieces. Are you able to create tiles as well, or is that something that's not of
Yes.
interest to you? Yeah.
As long as you got a kiln, as long as you got somewhere you could heat the actual pieces, you can make anything you like.
Amazing.
You're governed by what size you make your stuff. If you got a small kiln, you can only do stuff limited in your space you have.
Yeah.
So the sky's the limit, really. Yeah, just don't go too big.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think the star magnolia that you're working on, which is my favorite at the moment, one of your pieces are beautiful anyway. Have you
Thank
thought
you.
about what color that you're
I
going
have,
to?
I have in mind, but again, I write things on. I've got a book, like a diary, where I just write things in there, colours, which I layer of glaze I'm putting on top, light glaze, and hopefully I can get a wonderful mixture when two glaze goes on top of each
Mhm.
other. I'll get different other colours coming through. I was told when I was looking for a kiln, there was options to get an electric or get a gas kiln. I got a gas kiln for the reasons of hoping it might create more interesting colours in the burn
Mhm.
of heating the actual the glazes. So
Yeah.
I'm at the stage now where I haven't as yet used the actual kiln for the glazing as yet. I've done my bisque firing, and behind me
Mhm.
there is, I don't know if you can see,
Yeah, all those beautiful pieces
there's
there.
pieces there behind me, which I
Yeah.
have ready for the kiln after I glaze it. So
Yeah.
yes, that's my next chapter. Again, I'm just trying. I'm just
Well, look, there's nothing wrong with just trying.
no,
And the
that's right.
beauty is you've got the equipment that you need sitting there and when
Yeah,
you're ready. Because I think with all of us creatives, so with me, I love knitting, I do seed beading and so forth. You'll start a piece and you'll put it down and you'll know you're going to come back to it.
yeah,
It has to be when you're in the right zone for it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And the fact that you've got them all stored up there ready, you're being sustainable in the sense that you're not just putting one thing in your kiln. You're gonna
yeah, right,
have
yeah,
everything ready, and I guess you're
yeah.
gonna pack it up in the best way you can pack it up, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pack it up sensibly about touching pieces together, because I know if you when you glaze your pieces,
Yeah.
your piece got to stand alone. They can't touch each other, and then because they might fuse together. So I'm
Mm.
sensible about it.
So in
But
terms of the glaze, Ray, I'm thinking of, as you're talking about glaze, I don't know I'm thinking of piece of cake and the cherry on top, and it's a glazed cherry.
yeah,
And it normally has a certain something. Are there different types of glaze for
yes,
different
there is. It's so much
to
to
think
search
about?
through. So much of it, different
Yeah.
type, different firing temperature, and yeah,
There's a
mind
lot to
boggling.
think about.
Yeah,
No
the
wonder you've got a
texture,
book of,
clay. There's
yeah.
so much stuff out there. It's unreal. I mean, look, for instance, there is. If I can turn around here. I mean, when I first started all this, I went crazy. I was looking here,
No,
looking
you
there.
do.
Well, as you do. And then I come across, I got to hide your actual writing. I come across this.
Oh,
I can't show the other side of
yeah.
it.
No, no, no,
Advertising
that's
really.
fine.
So this is what I found. And it's like, it's a small clay. It's a metal clay. And it
Mm,
comes in a 15-gram bag.
okay.
And this little clay, it's
Yeah.
got specks of silver in there.
Oh,
So,
yes, I've got
you know,
some silver clay.
yeah, I feel tricked. It's and this thing here, once you
Mm,
make your whatever you make with it, jewelry,
yeah.
it go into an ordinary oven.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yes.
there's so much out there. There is clay which you can take photos and print, put it through the printer, then
Hmm.
sort of transfer that image onto the clay, cameo brochures. There's so much things you could do.
Wow.
So you can't be limited just to, okay, I'm going to make a pot. I
Yeah.
understand how pot for some people might be what they want, but
Yes.
to me, you're kind of trying to perfect that pot to a lovely, faultless, pristine shape.
Hmm.
Sort of trying to get to. I
Yeah.
mean, that is where people want to be when they're making pots, isn't it? The
Yeah.
perfect pot.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But with
But there's
me,
so
it's
much
like
more.
there's much more out there. There is nature's there. It's free. Nature's free. It's there. There it is.
So the other week, it's not released yet. I was having a conversation with a lovely lady called Elka, and she creates beautiful willow weaving.
Mm,
So she willow weaves everything. She's got like a basket for her laundry, a
yeah,
basket for when she goes shopping, a basket for store. Do you know, basket for everything. And
yeah,
I can imagine you now.
yeah. I got a plate there for mum there. She did say to me, "Oh, don't forget to make me a plate." I thought, right, okay, a plate.
Does the cat have one as well?
No, I did toy the idea of making a cat bowl, and I thought, nah, just buy one. Just buy one, it's cheaper.
It's cheaper.
Yeah,
But
cheaper.
no, I
Yeah,
know what it's like, when you're going down that creative route, you go to one of these shows, a fair, and they've got everything that you want to
yeah,
buy. It's like a kid in the sweet shop. They literally want everything, don't they? You've got to
yeah.
kind of
That's
rein
right.
yourself in.
Yeah, that's right. So true. Oh man, so true. It's
Indeed.
it's. I mean, I'm loving it. I've had a time off because I had a knee operation, actually two knee operation. So it's
Oh.
slowing me down now,
Hmm.
and I've just suddenly gone back into the shed to try and get motivated to get back into it because I've kind of sat back now for almost 2 years.
Hmm.
And I've been like itching to come back, but I'm here now, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna slowly get back into the
Into the
design.
groove.
Yeah,
You're warming back up again, as
well,
it were.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's been up and down because you got COVID. When COVID came about, I was trying to build a hut for the kiln. So each period, each year, there's been
Hmm.
something going on, which I've been active. I've
Yeah.
been doing things in order for me to be self-contained where I am.
Hmm.
But yeah, so it's what it's meant to be, I
Yeah.
think. But
Well, I think in the day of AI now, because everybody's screaming and shouting about AI is going to be able to do this, going to be able to do
oh
that,
dear.
I see what you're doing and what creatives do, generally speaking, as AI proof. And maybe they might be able to do some things, but when it comes to creating something unique, which requires time, energy, lots of thinking, and maybe you tweak and perfect and so on and so forth, it's the whole process of that sparks that creativity and it's enjoyment. It's the ability to be able to just think of something and think, yeah, you haven't
Mm,
seen anything like that. I'm going to model that.
that's right.
And I'm going
That's
to
right.
make my notes and I'm going to do that because
Mm,
you know that I make jewelry. Of course, I do. I think the knitting led me onto the jewelry, and I was partly introduced to it by my mum. So I've got her to blame. And, you create pieces, and there are, like you were talking about earlier, the pots. You can start with a pot and make something, really gorgeous pot. Once you get to making a gorgeous pot, then what? So for me, I quite like doing those more complex pieces where you're not really going to see them in the shop, but you can just
yeah,
take your time and you go back to it. You just do a bit
that's
here and you
right.
do a bit there. And I'm not saying it's going to take years, but you might just put it down for months and then you'll come back to it after a few months, or
Mm,
could be years even, because life gets in the way. Things
yeah,
happened. You just mentioned COVID. That took a lot out of all of us, really, didn't it?
yeah.
In some ways it did, but in some ways it was an opportunity to wind down because we were all at home. We could go and take all of our stuff out that we hadn't
Mm.
touched in years and be able to create. So, Ray, I know you're very much into your ceramics, but is there any other branch offs from the ceramics that you can see yourself getting into now that you've been doing this on and off over the years?
With ceramic, well, I come from a work background of the building trade. So I'm using whatever knowledge I've taken from that side and
Hmm.
trying to incorporate it into what I'm doing. So
Yeah.
it's almost like I'm bolting things onto it, knowing strengths and weakness of materials. That's one thing I've learned. I did a degree in interior designing, and the funny thing about that as well, I've learned the nuts and bolts from that side and I brought it here as well. So I'm
Brilliant.
taking all these ideas
Yeah.
and I'm living their life, living time of my life because I thought I'm excited because I thought I could do this, I could do that.
Yeah.
And then it's almost like using glass as well. That's another place I want to go into as well. Glass, which I can use all these ideas together and come up with something fantastic. I mean, I'm making a piece and I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to make this thing stand on its own? It can
Hmm.
stand on its own, or do I incorporate metal, wood to it?
I
So
hear that.
it's those ideas. I understand the stresses of using materials like that. What
Yeah.
can work? What type of wood? Grains of wood, metals, aluminium, steel, iron. So all these stuff you
Hmm.
can decide to yourself, will this work with that? No, it won't because of this and that and the other. Why don't I use wiring instead? And then there's different types of wires. So it's a whole
Yeah.
minefield of stuff and picking the right stuff to what you're doing so it doesn't cause any problems later on. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm living my life. There's so much to do. There's so much to do to keep me busy. So So yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good.
No, well, that's lovely to hear, Ray.
Yeah,
I mean, I can agree with you on that because with the jewelry, I have, I think people, when they hear that you're a jewelry maker, they immediately think of the precious metals, gold, silver,
yeah,
platinum, even. But when you're starting out, there's all the mixed media type stuff,
yeah.
the beads and the pearls and semi-precious stones, etc., etc. And then when you realize you can be incorporating all these different medias together, it can end up being quite a lot, right?
Yes.
So I completely get you with the wire. I'm into
Yeah.
wire as well.
And the space to keep it is like, you
Yes.
just need space.
Yep,
But it's
yep,
handy because you could draw things. You could like, yes, that I could use this tools because I come from a building, say, life. I've been into properties building, so I've
yeah,
got a whole lot of tools as well.
yes,
So,
yes,
for my needs, I could use these to help me with what I'm doing with the clay.
absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, there is different shapes, patterns.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with you. I agree with you. So I know you're just getting back into the swing of things, like you mentioned earlier. You had an operation. If people are interested in looking at your work, Ray, where might they be able to find it? Do you have a social media presence at all?
No, not at this moment.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of a dinosaur when it comes to all this, but I will have to
Yes.
jump on the bandwagon if I want to be
Yeah.
exposed to work like this. I have to do it. So yeah,
And look, no pressure, because the whole point of this podcast is to let the audience out there know, go ahead and try it out yourself, you know.
yes,
And
please,
if you want to share it with the world, there is social media out there to
yeah,
share it. A bit like you, Ray, I am also a creative. I create loads and loads and loads and loads. During lockdown, I did share a few bits and pieces, not
yeah.
much, but I think that the point of this podcast is for those who are thinking about discovering whether or not that they've got a creative bone in their body, which is what I
Everybody
did.
has.
I
Everybody has.
100% agree with you. And it's to give some encouragement to the audience to give it a try,
Give it a go.
whether it's
You never know.
ceramics or
Listen,
woodwork, knitting.
yeah,
Yeah, there's so many things out there, and I want the audience to just have the courage to just try something small, you
yeah.
know. And once you get into the zone, how much you really enjoy it. I don't know about you, Ray, but for me, it's almost meditative.
It is.
If you've gone through some stress, we've all been through quite a bit of stress in recent times and cost of living crisis. It's nice to sort of go back to something quite original. A lot of the things that we can do don't
Mm,
always cost too much either.
mm,
Just start with a needle and thread
mm.
and maybe mend some socks. You know what I mean? This is for anybody listening who thinks they haven't got creative bone. If you've got some socks in the drawer, they've got holes
Army.
in, get a needle and thread and just sew up the holes. And you'd be
Yeah,
delighted at just being able to do that rather than going and
yeah.
buy a new pair.
That's right. Right. It takes you away from the world a bit as well, because once I'm in here, cocoon from it, I don't miss it. I don't
Yes.
miss what's going on in the news. And you do switch off. I feel happier not knowing all that nonsense.
Mhm.
And it's good for breathe of fresh air. It's lovely.
Oh, absolutely. And I've seen from the garden, Ray, that when you are creative, it rubs off into other areas,
It
right?
does. It does.
Because you've got a gorgeous lavender bush. And in springtime, summer, all we can see is bees in your front garden.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I love lavender. It's absolutely
Feeding
gorgeous.
nature.
It
Feeding
comes
nature.
off in other ways.
Yeah.
Cooking, creativity isn't just about using your hands. Yeah, like we cook, you make ceramics, it could be knitting, whatever it might be. It's also how we use our brain as well. We've obviously got to do things in a certain way. We've got to meet with
Yeah.
regulations and so forth. But being creative in terms of how we think about things and
Yeah.
how we conduct our affairs, that can also bring joy. And one way, which you shared
Mhm.
with me quite a little while ago, was brain games. So for anybody who's thinking, oh, still don't think they can muster up the courage to maybe try creativity, perhaps we can start with brain games. And I think you introduced me to block games.
Yeah, yeah.
How you getting on with that? You still looking at that from time to time?
From time to time, I look at it, but I haven't jumped back into it because
Yeah,
I'm in here now. So,
exactly.
I've
Yeah,
got other
yeah,
things occupying me. But again, it was helpful when I was laid up for a while, just not to be sitting down flicking the remote control
yes,
over and over.
yeah,
There's plenty to do rather
yeah,
than doing that. And then, I take walks. I cycle. So again, is that all well-being? So you have to do all.
100%.
I mean, I reach my age now. I'm 60, and
You wouldn't know it looking at you
I
now.
feel my bones feel 60, but I'm still active. I have to do it in order to well-being. It's all a part of
100%.
it, all knit together. So I have to do it. So,
No,
you know,
definitely. Yeah. So, Ray, I want to thank you for meeting with me today. I've really enjoyed this
you're
session,
welcome.
and I look forward to us having a discussion again soon.
No problem. I'm sure you will. Take care.
Thank you.